We're here at the Conquistador Games booth with Dirk Niemeyer, one of the designers of War Stories Red Storm, which is one of the games in the War Stories line. Dirk, hello.
Hey, hi Joel, hi everyone, nice to see you.
Good. Can you give us a quick rundown of the game and how it works?
Absolutely. So with the War Stories system, what we're really focused on is realism as well as getting a lot of complexity in a very simple and easy to play package. And so starting with the realism, we've really focused on Fog of War in this game. And we start that with having two different scenario booklets. So the Soviet player has a booklet and the German player has a booklet, and it's framing the situation in different ways. So we're both looking at the same map, but only the Soviet player knows where they're going to deploy from, or what their objectives are, or what their units are, what the situation looks like. The German is looking at it from a very different perspective. And then the units are set up with blocks, so you have very little idea of what's going on the other side. In doing this game, one of the things we really researched is what is real combat like. And in real life, soldiers didn't always know what they were shooting at. Things are chaotic, and there'd be moments they knew what vehicle they were shooting at, but most of the time they didn't. We want to get that in this game. What was it like to go through a field and not know if you might be blown up in the next step? Those are all the kind of things we're achieving here. The other thing we're focused on is getting all of the complexity communicated in the playing pieces, in the terrain pieces in the map, in the cards that come with the game, and in the combat chips that resolve the combat, like these. So let's first talk about movement and how that works. Movement is area-based, so if you look at the map, you'll see, for example, this is an area where all these hexes are bounded in by this territory, so it's one movement point to move across that territory, because it's very easy to traverse. But if we look at this hill over here next to it, this is an area on the hill, so it's slow to go up, but you can go laterally pretty quickly. This is a crest of the hill, where again it's slow to get up, but once you get up there, you can really scoot around pretty quickly. So the terrain, not only does it have all this unique flavor and personality to it, but the movement is trivially simple, where you can say, okay, I have one movement point, so I can go anywhere in this area. Now a second movement point, I can get through this dense area, and a third movement point, I'm going to get up on this crest and get up here. So it's really simple. In real life, soldiers would just look at the terrain ahead of them and decide, can I make it? Can I sprint across that? Am I going to, am I too big of a risk? War Stories is the same. There's no math, there's no charts, there's no computing. You just look and you play. Then the other thing is the combat. Movement and combat are the two big parts of battle. And so the way combat works, we'll pretend that we have this Su-122 sitting right here, shooting at this Panther D, which is sitting right here. So normally they'd be hidden. We're going to tilt them down for the example. You count how many hexes away the target is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you look at the gun, and it has an effective range of 5 and a penetration of 7. It's in the effective range, perfect. We take a combat chip out of the bag, and you're looking for that range on the chip. This is a bad chip for the attacker, so the 5+ is happening down here in the ineffective band. However, we've got that gun with that nice 7 penetration, which is really a big one. The Panther D's front armor is only a 4. The 7 penetration exceeds the 4 of the front armor. As such, you take an upshift on the combat. So because it's such a powerful gun, it made what would be an ineffective shot into a suppression. And so then you would handle the suppression. So what we've done there is we've replaced a die roll, as well as replaced the use of 3 different charts having to do with distance, having to do with weapon quality, and rolled it right into this very quick, simple, easy to execute system.
Cool.
The other thing that we've done to make it really easy to play is we've put in all of these cool weapons and special goodies that happen, and all of the rules are on the card. So in most tactical games, if you have something like a bazooka, you've got to peel open the rule book, you've got to go and read and memorize paragraphs of text. In War Stories, every ounce that you need on the bazooka is on the card. There's not a mention of a single single special weapon in the rules. They're all on the card itself. And so as a result, we've been able to get literally dozens of them. Dive bombers, intel, tank radios, AT guns, mortars, satchel charges, smoke, ambush, mines, wire. I mean, it goes on and on.
Is this like a hand of cards that you have, or that you gotta play secretly? Or?
So each scenario assigns you a number of different cards, and they all work a little differently. So the Germans might be assigned an MG34, but they might have been assigned 3 MG34s. And the way that that's indicated is the German player has these markers numbered 1 through 10, and there's 2 of them. They correspond to each other, 1 and 1. So behind their shield, this is the Soviet shield, but the German player would also have a shield off the board that hides their stuff. They would have a 1 on the MG34, and then they would have a 1 next to the piece on the board. So as the Soviet player, you know that there's something special about this unit, but you don't know what it is, and that is helping the German to remember. So you could have a 2 on a different one, and a 2, and a 3, and a 3. So you can really stack too. But then there's other things like the howitzer, for example, a big artillery strike. The way that works is there's a deck of event cards in the game. Each turn, 1 event is executed. This would be secretly put into the event deck by the player who has it, and then the deck gets all shuffled up. And so as the Germans, I know an artillery strike's coming. The boss told me we're going to get some support, but I don't know exactly when it's coming. As the Allies, you have no idea an artillery strike is coming, let alone when it's going to come. So the thing's going to play out, tension back and forth, and then suddenly, pow! Artillery strike time. And as usual, all the rules are here. Don't need to look at a rule book. So you're going to be assigned in the scenario book what your goodies are. If we look here in scenario 4, the infantry, the tanks, the AP armor, combat engineers, as well as a reinforcement, which also comes in through the event deck randomly at a certain time. And so you'd fish those cards out for the combat engineers, for the special ammunition. You just read those rules, you yourself as the player, that's all you need to know for the scenario, and it's right in front of you on the cards thereafter.
Okay. Now, you have Red Storm here, and you have another one that you had, but has also been sold out here.
Yeah.
What's the name of that one?
So that's Liberty Road. We have Red Storm, which is Germans versus Soviets, 1942 to 1943. Liberty Road is the Western Front. It's breakout from Normandy, basically after the beaches, but before the Battle of the Bulge.
Okay, and you got like 10 or so scenarios in each of those, or?
Each one actually has 12 scenarios in the booklet. Yeah.
Okay. And are these going to be in distribution now, or?
So we brought some for Kickstarter backers to pick up at the cons. We over-ordered because we didn't get a lot of responses from the backers, so they were generous enough to be okay with our selling those overages, which we've done. There weren't a lot though. Okay. So that now it's out for a couple months, meaning there's none to buy for a couple months.
Gotcha.
But the container is going to come from China, and at that point it will be open for everyone.
Cool. Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.